Okay, this is kind of getting down to the final stretch of the N64 project. Been working on this since November, and I'm quite frankly sick and tired of it. Ready to move on. So right here we have the deluxe programmer and then the standard programmer. And they're exactly the same, except this one just has this top piece and has a little alignment slot, so when you put the circuit boards in, they line up perfectly. So I'm just going to grab a 256. So I'll show you the back side of it. So there are no jumpers made. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in this one. You can see that there's little alignment holes there and there, and so it lines up perfectly. And I'm going to turn the board on, and then you get the power light. So on the computer, it'll show you that there is a flash drive connected. So we're going to open it up, and then you'll see a CFI file, which is probably going to change in the future. We're going to go down and do a quick properties check. Make sure that it's seeing the whole drive, and it is. So now the ROMs need to be in big Indian format. That's ENDIAN. So we'll go to our Tool 64, and we'll just check the byte order, and they are all in big Indian. If they weren't, you could go up here and you could select big Indian. So, but they're good. So I'm going to close out of this and bring up my drive again. So let's start with Mario Party number 1. I'm just going to grab it. Just going to drop it onto my flash drive, and it's going to start programming. Now I'm going to stop the video here, and I'll come back in about 5 minutes. So one thing I forgot to mention was, while it's programming, your programmer is going to have 2 lights on. The red light for power, and that's just a cartridge insertion power, where if the cart's inserted, it'll turn itself on. If there's no cartridge, then it doesn't turn itself on. Pretty simple. And then you got the green light here. The green light is an indicator that it's busy doing stuff, and you should leave it alone. When that green light goes out, then you can remove the cartridge from the programmer. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out again, and I'll come back in about 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay, there's about 30 seconds remaining, and you will see that I'll just turn over here. When the green light turns off, then it's ready to be removed. So let's finish programming. Now the name will not stay the same. It is here, but as soon as you reload the cartridge, like if I power cycle, then you'll see that it changes to Flash Z64. So the name does not stay with it. Okay, so since this is a video, I'm going to basically show you all the steps. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Pull the cartridge out. Now, Mario Party 64 is a 4K 6102 game. So here's our CICs. You see 6, 5, 3, and Star Fox. So the 02 CIC is default. So if you don't bridge any of those, then it's already 02. So now I'm going to make one jumper. Not sure if I can do this while holding the phone and soldering, but we'll see what we can do here. So I'm going to bridge. Let's see here. I'm going to bridge this 4K spot right here. Oh, okay. Alright, now I'm going to walk this over to my N64. I'm going to put it in. The cartridge does go in with the chips facing to the back of the console, just like it would be in a cartridge. Turning it on. Start button just to get past this. So, Mario Party. So you can see that the soldering that we needed to do was extremely simple. It's just putting a little solder dot there for 4K double EEPROM saves. And if you had a game that needed 16K, then you would just do this one and that one. So in these other jumpers, so for if you have a flash RAM or SRAM, it does mount to this side of the board. And you would jumper this for flash RAM as well. So, but if it's just SRAM, then you just do the one jumper and that's it. Of course, you have to mount the battery and mount the parts, but the manual covers most of that. So that's Mario Party. Okay, I'm back. So now we're going to try a 512 megabit cartridge. And we're going to put it in our programmer. Power light comes on. And if the drive doesn't show up on the computer immediately, then just power cycle it. 1, on, okay. And now it's up. Oops, excuse me. All right, so we're going to open it, and then we're going to check our properties. You can see that it sees the ROM, so that's good. So now we're going to put, let's see here, let's do, I guess Conker's. Just seems like a tried and true one example. So Conker's is one of the biggest games that N64 makes. And so it's going to take about 6 minutes. Programmer's busy working. So I'm going to sign off again and come back when it's a little closer to being done. Okay, it's almost done programming. And you can see that the light will turn off as soon as it's done. It should be any second. And it's done. Yeah, Conker's Bad Fur Day. So now I'm going to put my phone in the holder. I'm going to pull the cartridge out, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to do these little solder things. So I'm going to do this middle of the screen here. Okay, so Conker's is an 05 CIC. So we're just going to put solder right here. Boom. How easy was that? And then you've got the, it's a 16K, so we're going to do that one and that one. Look at that. And we're done. So now, take it over the console, put it in. Okay, try that one more time. Okay, I'm leaving this in the video because this is a classic mistake. Instead of editing this out like a knucklehead, I did the wrong CIC. Okay, so let's go ahead and so I'm going to get rid of this CIC, this jumper, just by swiping across it. Yeah, it's just like wiping it off. And now I'm going to do the right one. Instead of 06, I should have done 05. Boom. There's 05. Okay, so now, leaving this screw up in the video was probably a good learning lesson. So, because we all make mistakes, don't we? So there you go. I was thinking earlier, I'm like, what? Are my connections bad or something? But nope, it was human error all along. That was me. So, so anyways, so like I say, I put the wrong jumper, put it on 06 when it should have been on 05. My mistake. So, all right. I'm going to put this back in the programming unit, and we're going to erase the file. So it's in, powered up. I'm going to power cycle it anyways, just because that's just the way it is. It's going to come up. And I'm going to open it. There's my game. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to hit delete. You can also just hit delete on the keyboard. And I want to permanently delete it, yes. So now it's going to go through the deleting process, and this takes about 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm going to cut the video here and come back when it is almost done. So, but at the same time, I am going to show you that the green light is on, and the green light will stay on until the erasing process is completely done. Now, even when this little window disappears where it says deleting, the green light will still remain on, and you should not do anything until the green light turns off. The green light is the activity light, saying there is still stuff going on inside, even though Windows may not be aware of it. So I'm going to cut this off now, and I'll be back in a few minutes. So it has not been a few minutes, but the delete window did disappear. Okay, but the green light is still on, meaning there's still stuff going on inside the cartridge. And we need to leave it alone until the green light turns off. If you pull out the cartridge now, it will not have completely erased, and you'll have to go through this all over again. So I will be back when the green light turns off, which should be about a minute. Okay, the green light has turned off, and the programmer will also reset the window to where the original window disappears and a new one comes up. So we're going to go ahead and open the window and make sure there's nothing there. we'll go ahead and check our properties, and it all looks good. So, since this cartridge is already set up for 16K and a 6105 CIC, let's go ahead and throw Banjo Tooie in. That way we won't have to do any different jumpering. So while this records, again, it's going to take about 5 minutes, 3 minutes. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, it's almost done programming. I thought I would go ahead and hold the programmer up so you could see that when it finishes programming, that the green light turns off almost immediately. But that is not the case when it erases. When it erasing, the green light will remain on longer than when the window, beyond when the window closes. So, okay, so this is Banjo Tooie. I didn't have to do any changes to my jumpers. So, put it in. So that is that. I will do one more programming to just show a friend of mine that a certain game works. So power cycle really you should probably turn it off before you remove the cartridge. But power cycling, will bring up the window, make sure it sees the whole thing, and it does. So there's Sin and Punishment. I'm going to drag it over, and I will be back in about 3 minutes. Okay, almost done. Sin and Punishment. Sin and Punishment is 6102, so no jumpers, and it does not have any save of any kind. And so we do not need to do any jumpers for Sin and Punishment.
Hurry! Hey, that's Archie!
So there you have it. So we'll say that these circuit boards are designed to fit inside the smaller cartridge. I'm going to set the phone down for a second because I have to peel this tape off and I need 2 hands to do it. So, okay. So, pull the cartridge off. And inside the cartridges are metal shieldings. You have a small one, which is this one, and you have a bigger one, which is in other less common cartridges. But so this is not the one I just made, but it's the same thing. You can see that it fits in the shielding, which is nice. So Seems like I'm forgetting something. So, anyways, I'll just briefly talk about the spot here. So these 28 holes is for the flash RAM or the SRAM. SRAM comes in two different sizes, a kind of a wide. Let's see, is this one? Yeah. There's a wide SRAM. Obviously, this is not going to fit. Hangs over the board. Okay, but they also make a narrow version, which I don't have one on hand, but it fits in this in the holes just fine. And all the flash RAMs are the smaller footprint as well. So if you're going to make an SRAM game, you need to make sure you harvest the narrow version of the SRAM. I guess I have some over here. So these are flash RAMs. They all start with an MX. And then the SRAMs. Here's a good example. You got some wide ones and you have some narrow ones. So, and then you have the smaller little 8-pin chip. That's the battery controller, which is also necessary for SRAM games. The battery controller, the little chip, would go right here where U26 is. So it's a little bit of trouble, but you know, it is necessary. Now, in future versions, you won't need that chip. It could be even that the version you receive, if you order, might not need it this next go round, just because by the time this video gets posted, the design might have already changed again. So, but it'd be safe to go ahead, and if you're harvesting an SRAM chip, you might as well harvest the battery controller as well. So this particular cartridge, I was setting it up so that I knew what was inside it. It was jumpered to an 03 CIC 4K, and it was 512 megabit ROM. So what I was doing when I was making this a cartridge that I could pop in, that I knew what was inside it, and that I could just program it without even taking it out of the plastic shell. And so that's kind of the next phase of this project, is to have the CICs and the double EEPROMs automatically set themselves, where you don't have to use a soldering iron at all. And then you could load them up in cartridges and just pop them in the programmer. Not this one, because it's not going to go, but it'll be more along the lines of this one, where you pop it in. I'll have to face this way. You just pop it in, and you know, you're ready to program it without even taking it out of the case. So, but you know, of course, you have to put it in the case to begin with. So, anyways, I was going to use these for my development, just kind of testing, where I just pop it in, you know, so long as I didn't have to change the CIC or the double EEPROM settings. So I'd probably have half a dozen varieties of something like this, you know, like this, where I have another one with an 02 and 4K and 256, and or this one would be, you know, an 05 CIC 16K. So I could just pop the whole thing in. I wouldn't have to take it out of the shell, and just program it, you know, inside the cartridge itself. So, but that's not. Yeah, I hate it when phone calls come in. It just cuts the video right off. Anyways, so that's just what these are doing. It's just something else I'm working on. But so that is our N64 project, and they will be available at mordoffgames.com pretty soon. They'll have 3 different price points, but you will be able to download the instructions, and that tells all about it, and even more information than you probably ever wanted to know. If you want to know, my computer is Windows 7. It's just a laptop. Windows 7 does a nice job of this. It has been tested on Linux machines, XP machines, and Windows 8.1 and 10. In those 8.1 and 10, you have to go through an indexing where you have to turn off indexing, and that is easy to do. And there's videos showing how to do it in the instructions. So sorry this video wasn't very polished, but it got the job done. And just stay tuned. I mean, today is May 31st, and we should be going to full-scale production here in about a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then we will have programmers and boards to sell. Thank you for watching.